Welcome to 'Cause We're Nerds, the podcast that covers trends and new releases in comics, movies, video games, board games, and much more. I'm your host Caleb, and with me is my brother Jacob.
I'm Jacob, and with me is your host Caleb.
February is the month of love, so we're starting our love-hate relationship series by revisiting some early live-action X-Men. Today, we're looking at Generation X. How does this 1996 TV movie hold up? Why does it exist? And is it as bad as its reputation says? Find out on this week's episode of 'Cause We're Nerds. Welcome back, Bobby boy.
Thank you for having me back, Caleb boy. That is my garage, and that sounds like an earthquake.
That's so loud.
Yes, it is. The shocks on the side are too tight, and we have not loosened them yet. So every single time it opens, I think my house is falling down.
Jacob's house is falling down.
Falling down, falling down. Yeah, that's not good.
Oh, man. What a way to start. Earthquakes falling down.
Man,
it's like a
good
tsunami
times.
at your place.
Man, I'm going through so many emotions right now, just like this movie put me through.
Okay, so this is an interesting one. We've spent the last 3 weeks talking about movies that pretty much everyone in the world is familiar with, the original X-Men trilogy. Today we're talking about something almost no one in the world is familiar with, which is the 1996 live-action TV movie Generation X, which, as far as I can tell, is the first live-action X-Men anything.
I think you're right, Caleb. I was looking up some stuff, and I don't think there was anything else before this that's live action wise.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that they had like one character show up in one thing, but definitely in terms of trying to do like a more team-based thing, like traditional X-Men, this is definitely the first. And let me tell you, it's an interesting ride.
And let me tell you that I'm just going to go ahead and all the ratings that I gave the past 3 X-Men movies, I'm just going to go ahead and boost up a little bit. just maybe a number or two. So just go back and listen to those podcasts, and if I gave it like a 6, it's now an 8. You know? Just wanted to throw that disclaimer out there.
What this movie make you realize how good some of those others are?
Caleb, this movie may be the most unique movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Okay.
And, yep, we'll get into it, so we'll see.
Yeah, so last time we watched a movie kind of like this, it was the Mario Brothers movie, which we talked about how we had to search high and low for it, only to end up having to purchase it and spending like $20 or something to actually get it because it's a freaking add-on item. This time it was the opposite. This was just on YouTube. The entire thing is on YouTube. If you want to go watch it, you can go to YouTube and type in Generation X movie. It's on there. The one I watched had the whole thing. There's some that are broken up into parts. I think they're all about the same quality, but if you want to subject yourself to this, go ahead.
And Caleb, before we just go ahead and jump right in here, I just wanted to say that Mario movie that I now own, thank you for that again, is now being passed among my friends because nobody believes that it is as different as they are being told.
Did they listen to the episode first?
Yes, I told them to listen, and they went, there's no way. There's no way. And so it's being passed on. I think 3 or 4 have seen it, and every single one have come up to me, put their hand on my shoulder, and said, "Why, Jacob? Why?" I said, you know what? I've been asking myself the same question.
Well, it's probably better off in their hands than yours.
You're not wrong. In fact, I kind of gave it to my friend, and I said, I don't have to have this back. I said, yes, I bought it, but, it's just good to give back to the community. So, and that's what you're doing for me by taking away this movie. So, yeah, I don't think I'll ever see that movie again in my possession, but that's not the end of the world.
No, it's not. It's a very good thing. And while that movie was weird, Jacob, the thing that just kept coming into my head when I was watching this movie is it's just so bizarre. It's it like the reputation that this movie have, which I guess context. This is a TV movie that was meant to launch a series. This is like a pilot show, right? So think of well, I guess, do I need to explain what a pilot is? People know what a pilot is, right?
Nah, people know what a pilot is.
Yeah, okay. So this was meant to launch an entire series, which I don't even know what to say about it. I don't know how to introduce this without just going for it. So I'm just going to go for it. All right, Jacob.
Let's take the dive in.
Let's dive in. Let's start with the good things first. I think that'll be quicker.
Okay. Good things. I'm done. I'm just kidding.
Well, so I actually was very surprised when I started this because this movie has such a bad reputation. I thought this was going to be so incredibly terrible. And there are hints of that here, but I was actually surprised to find out like what it actually is. It's actually pretty comic accurate. I mean, there are a few characters in this that are new for this movie, I guess we're going to continue calling it. But there's also people from the comics. We've got Emma Frost here. We've got, I just forgot his name.
You have Banshee.
Banshee, yep. You've got
Jubilee.
You've got Scott Summers' knockoff.
Yeah, for real.
You've got
what?
Yeah, you've got Absorbing Man knockoff, which is from the comics. And you've got Super Smart Girl, which is also from the comics, which I don't remember any of their names. I guess I could look it up. Let's see. So,
I actually have some of the names right here if you want to know. I had already pulled it up and I was looking. Okay. So you have Emma Frost, you have Sean Cassidy, Banshee. You have Monette Yvette. That's Yvette. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Obviously, Jubilation Lee. You also have Mondo, which is the knockoff of the Absorbing Man. You have Angelo Espinosa, which I think he's from the comics.
Yeah, he's definitely from the comics. He's knockoff Mr. Fantastic.
Okay. You have Ollie Hicks, which is Buff.
New.
You have what?
She's new for the movie.
Oh, okay. You have Court Pastorius as Reflex.
That's knockoff Scott Summers.
Yep. And then, of course, you have Dr. Russell Tresh, which is also new for the movie.
Yeah. So, the good things. It's kind of faithful. We've got these characters from the comics. Emma Frost has a very faithful costume, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I think she might have even worn this exact thing in the comics at one point. Jubilee has her yellow jacket. She's not Asian. They did actually interview Asian people, but this person was the best, so they ended up going with the best person rather than an Asian person just because that's what the comics is, which I would probably do as well. I think that's a fair argument. What else? The special effects, actually. I was impressed with the special effects.
Yeah, I thought they'd be worse, honestly. Now, taking into account that this was in 1996, but for that time, I feel like these are decent.
Not only is it 1996, it's 1996 on TV.
That's true.
Didn't see these effects. There's a bunch of stretching effects from Skin where he, there's one big shot towards the end. By the way, we're just going to spoil this whole thing because it doesn't matter. So, he wraps up the villain. And I thought that looked really good. And it was like the arms were all CG.
Well, even from the beginning, when you first see his stretch, I thought, I was sitting there and I was thinking, that doesn't look that bad at all. Yes, some parts looked a little weird, but I didn't think it looked a lot worse than Mr. Fantastic from the first Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, no. It doesn't at all. And I think that effect actually looks really good for that time as well. But it's, man, what? Sorry, Steam keeps popping up on the bottom of my computer with my friends and what they're playing, and it hasn't done that in a while, so they're finally playing some games.
You're like, I bet they're playing Apex Legends.
They're not playing Apex Legends. They're playing all kinds of other stuff. One of them sounded really weird. I don't remember what it was. It was like map wall or something. I don't know. What could that be? Map wall.
You walk around and you draw a wall using a map.
Okay.
Genius.
All right.
Not only with the stretching, but also with Jubilee, shooting the fireworks out of her hands.
Yeah,
and
that actually does look pretty convincing as well. Even if they use that type of effect today, I think it would still be okay.
Yeah, and even when it came down to it was a little bit different, but with Banshee's scream and Scott Summers' knockoff, the lasers from his eyes, they didn't look as bad as I thought they were going to.
Totally agree. I was blown away at the quality of the effects, again, for 96, for TV, and for the reputation that this thing has.
I agree. Now, Caleb, you had said, or you hadn't said, but you were going to say that the CGI is good. Yes. The movie quality itself. Why don't you go ahead and
dive in, take a giant bite out of the loaf that is this movie. Man,
yes, the meatloaf.
This movie is just so weird. It's so 90s. Like, the stuff they say. Cerebro's a computer in this because it's the 90s and computers are cool.
And this is one thing that's weird to me. This is, for my knowledge, this is not comic book accurate at all, right?
Well, parts of it are.
Okay, no, I'm talking about Cerebro, right? So typically in the comics, unless I'm mistaken, I could be mistaken. I don't know a lot about Cerebro. I thought that someone specifically had to use Cerebro. Mm-hmm. Whereas in this movie, Cerebro is a computer, like Caleb said, and it's constantly scanning for mutants.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's ever been the way it is in this movie.
Okay. Which, it helps the story in the movie, but I just thought it was kind of weird. Because they have if you look, they have the helmet there.
Do they?
Yeah, they have the helmet on the table right there, and it looks pretty much like it does in the X-Men movies. Like,
okay.
It looks the same. So I thought at some point maybe Emma Frost was going to put it on or something, but they never... I guess it was just like an Easter egg kind of thing, or...
Well, remember, this was supposed to be the start of a series, so it's probably something that they would have used later.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't think this version's ever been in the comics, and it is weird. It's definitely not even doing the same thing that we know they do in the comics. It's like partly a security system, and partly it scans for mutants, but I don't know why.
Yeah, it's really weird. And not only is it weird, why is Emma Frost in control of it?
Alright, so this is something that I had to think about. Emma Frost has gone back and forth, I'm pretty sure, between good guy, bad guy, anti-hero type thing for a long time. I think she has been definitely part of the X-Men. I don't know if she's been in charge. I feel like that is a possibility that that's happened, but the weird thing is, this movie takes place inside of Xavier Institute. She's the leader. We never see Xavier in this movie, or even mentioned at all.
Nothing like that. And that's actually one of my complaints, Caleb. One of my big complaints about this movie, TV show, is that... So first of all, I want to say, where they filmed this, the castle. Do you know what this is, actually?
I do know what this is.
Yeah, so I kept looking and I was like, I know this from somewhere. Well, it's actually Hatley Castle, which has been filmed in a multitude of movies, including the X-Men series, Deadpool, Smallville, The Legacy, and it's used in some shots of the Arrow.
Yeah, it was used in early seasons as I almost said Amel Castle. Not the right name, as the Queen Mansion, the Queen Estate.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is really good for this movie. This really makes me believe that this could actually be Xavier's school.
Yeah.
Even when it's in Deadpool and things like that, it looks very mansion-esque.
Yeah, except for when they tilt the camera like 30 degrees to the side, because again, it's the 90s and that's cool. Like,
yeah,
it's filmed really weird. Like, it looks really good. It does lend a lot of credence to the idea of this movie, definitely. But that's about it that it does, because the other thing it does, I'm assuming they shot inside this mansion for this TV show. And this is a massive, massive mansion. And I kid you not, there are 6 students in this entire school.
That's what I was getting to. That's my big problem with this show is they couldn't have hired some extras just to walk around the hallway or something. And it seems so tiny. Not only that, Caleb. Not only that. The scene where the girls are waiting to use the restroom, you're telling me in this entire mansion, there is one restroom.
One bathroom, yeah.
There was one restroom for 8 people, and they talk about how this mansion is big, and it has this map of all these rooms, and there's this one restroom. There's no way. Like,
right? Yeah. It's so funny. It's like, this isn't well thought out at all. There's 2 teachers, I think. Well, I guess Banshee's a teacher. He kind of teaches them like computer stuff.
I actually looked it up because I was curious, and whenever you go and you look up information on this movie, it actually says that Banshee and Emma Frost co-run the school.
Yeah, I got that sense that they were the 2 that were kind of in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're the only adults there.
Yep.
We don't see any of the other X-Men. We don't see any other characters inside the mansion at any time, with maybe one exception.
Ooh. What exception are you talking about?
So, I can't remember if it's happened or not, but Skin Dude was in the God, dang it, I keep thinking of the wrong things because it's not right. Cerebro. He was using Cerebro, the computer, and then someone came in and grabbed him. I can't remember if that was a dream or not, because there's a lot of dream stuff in this movie.
So, are you talking about when they put the gun up to his head?
That's right. Yeah, that's it. It was part of the training thing. Yes.
Yep, it was a training session.
Because that happened, and I'm like, wait, is this a dream? Like, is this actually happening? Because it felt so weird.
Yep. And that's one of my complaints. I wish they would have tied in like a major X-Men character. I think that would have been really, really okay. I guess
Jubilee and Emma Frost.
That's what I was going to say. I guess those 2 are major, but someone like, not even like Wolverine or something like that, but maybe even a mention, like a name drop of like Xavier, like you said, would have been nice. Just to explain why he's not around. Because I thought that was really weird.
Because it is definitely called Xavier Institute. They say that a couple times.
Exactly. And obviously Emma Stone has been teaching there for a while because she talked about how in the past
Emma
she's
Stone?
lost... wow. Emma Stone. Yep. She didn't die in Spider-Man. Exactly.
Right.
No, but Emma Frost, she's obviously been there for a while because she talked about how she's lost students in the past. So...
Yeah. They talk about this place, like there's tons of students, there's tons of people, and it's like the most barren. And the rooms they film in are big, and then you've got these, 6 students sitting around?
Yep, and I thought, some people may use the excuse, oh, there's more students, you just don't see them. No, there's not, because Emma Frost almost expels all 6 of them, and Banshee's like, we can't have a school without students.
Right.
So there was literally only 6 students in this entire mansion.
It's not really so much a school as it is just an adoption house. Like, hey, come to Xavier's. We adopt you.
You're right. And it's not even like... That's the thing. I just wish they would have gave some context in the past. Because it's not new. Because she said she's been there for a while. Maybe they closed it down for a while after she lost students. That would have been a simple solution. And they just started reopening it.
Mm-hmm.
But... like that would have been nice. That would have been a nice tie-in, and it made a lot of sense. But no, they just leave it open. Just up to your imagination.
Yeah, there's so many things that just feel off in this movie. Like when they're talking about what their powers are, they don't say like, oh, I've got heat vision or I'm really strong. They try to give it these like real sounding scientific terms, but it just sounds so fake.
Yeah, it's like instead of heat vision, they say, I can control thermonuclear particles within the air or something like that. And I'm like, heat vision.
Right. Yeah, it was to the point where I was like, I don't know what any of these people do until they actually show it.
Yep, and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like so simple. It's like, oh, that guy can become anything he touches, that guy stretches, that guy can see through things, and he has heat vision somehow.
Yeah, like this guy's really big Scott Summers ripoff. The glasses can stop him from using his powers. A little bit different, he can control his powers without the glasses, but it's like they said, okay, we want Scott Summers, but give us a little, like, bedazzle. And they're like, he's got X-ray vision too, because that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that one and the other original one, Buff, are characters that replaced different characters in the comics because they were too expensive or impractical to do in live action, especially on TV. So that's why they're here. I do wish they would have come up with something a little bit better, but it's weird. Like, I mean, this guy has see-through powers, but he can only see through some stuff. But in the middle of the movie, while he's about to make out with a girl, or is making out with a girl, he instantly gets the see-through powers, and it's this whole big deal, because he's like, oh, I can see through your clothes now. And she gets all upset, and then there's this whole subplot through this movie about how she's upset with him, and then later on, he's like, oh, no, I didn't look. I turned away before I looked, and she gets this goofy smile.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's so sweet. No, that's not sweet. That's what you should do.
Yeah. Like, that's the morally right thing to do. Like, you don't get a sticker for that, buddy pal.
Bobby boy.
So, okay. What's also crazy when you were talking about the girl, right? I don't remember her name. But basically her muscles, from like the neck.
That's Buff.
Buff, okay.
Yeah, they named her Buff.
Wow, okay, wow. So basically she's buff from the neck down. Like, yeah. She's stronger than normal and everything, and so her muscles kind of look more masculine, and thus she hides them all the time. But anyways, whenever she's in that scene in the changing room and she takes off her shirt, and it shows her back, you can easily tell they, like, put a, like, weightlifter in there.
Bodybuilder in there.
Bodybuilder. Like, you can tell, like, nothing looks similar. It looks like a big man that they put a wig on. Like,
well, it's definitely a woman, but...
Well, yes.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely clearly a different person, but I kind of thought that was a clever way to do that.
See, here's my thing, is I feel like it would have been more clever if when it cut back to her again, you couldn't see her back. Because it was almost like in those cartoons, right? When somebody looks at their hamburger or something and it looks fine and it zooms up super close and it has mold all over it or something and it zooms back out and it looks fine again. That's kind of what this was, because you see her in there and she takes off her shirt and she looks fine. And then Jubilee walks in, it shows a giant muscle girl. And then when it goes back to Buff after flashing to Jubilee, she stands there for a second and she turns so you can see her back and it's not muscly at all. Like,
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, it literally did that and I was like, what? It was just like a super zoomed up. It was like something from SpongeBob. I was like, this is weird.
Oh man. Yeah, and there's a part at the beginning where Stretchy Dude is leaving his house and I don't know if it's his sister, but some little demon girl grabs his hand, like he's shaking her hand or something to say bye, and he's in a car. The car starts leaving. He's leaning out the window, and she won't let go of his arm. And he's like screaming in pain because apparently it hurts him to stretch until we get to the end, which I just noticed. It doesn't hurt him anymore there, but she won't let go and she's like smiling about it.
It's very creepy. I was not a fan of that. I was like, and talking about weird powers, what was that at the beginning with Emma Frost looking or having like the appearance of Storm?
Right? So I didn't know who was in this movie before I started watching it.
Neither did I.
And that happened, and I'm like, is that Storm? Because her hair looks white in that scene, and she starts like doing all this what looks like wind. I don't know. I guess she can psychically control the wind?
I don't know, but I did not. No, because there was even thunder in that scene. There was like flashes of, I guess maybe it wasn't thunder or lightning, but there was like flashes of lights that looked like lightning.
Which, now that I think about it, that's not even one of her powers. She's a telepath.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not a telekinetic. So,
the only thing that I could see, the only thing is maybe she was manipulating their minds to think that like she was pushing them back or something, but that's a huge stretch. Like,
yeah, that's a really big stretch. Did you notice that the dude, the villain of this movie was in the beginning?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the guy that tried to cut the skull. I
didn't
realized
notice-
halfway through.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I noticed like halfway through. I had no idea.
Now, what's funny, Caleb, is about that guy. His name is Dr. Russell Tresh. And what's funny is I see in your notes, I put the same exact thing. He is Jim Carrey. Like, I see this guy and I see his acting and I'm like, that is literally like Jim Carrey. Like, I paused it and I was like, that's not him. Right?
This guy is both the best and the worst thing in this movie at the same time. He is like, he doesn't look like Jim Carrey, but he hams it up. And
Exactly.
when I say Jim Carrey, I mean Riddler from the Batman movies, Jim Carrey. Way over the top in a movie that is not at all over the top. He's got this boss who just talks to him normally. And then this guy just like goes off the end. He's like, yes, sir, Bobby boy. It's like, what are you doing?
I wrote in my notes, I think this guy is an amazing actor from what I can see. I just feel like it was really bad script
a really
in here.
bad one.
Oh, yes. Or it's masking it, and this is just so bad, it makes him seem like he's a fantastic actor. Because it really seems like he is pulling off. I mean, maybe it's just him. Maybe this is how he is, but he seems like he can really do a good job. Because he was... there was some cringy parts in there.
So he's the best part because he's so over the top it's funny, but he's the worst part because this dude is like maybe the creepiest thing I've seen on film in a long, long, long time. To the point where one of the quotes in the movie is him threatening to mind rape someone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
he captures Skin at one point, and he's talking to him in a chair. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna give you a haircut." And he opens up a blade. It's like a straight blade to do the haircut. And he looks at him, and then he says, "Have you been circumcised?" Out of nowhere.
I was like, what?
It is so uncomfortable and creepy.
Yeah, and it was like you said, it was completely random. There was nothing that even alluded to that. And I was like, this is weird. Not a fan of what you just said, so.
but on the other side of that, maybe there's a bunch of quotes in this movie. I couldn't write all of them down. But one of my favorite on the other end of the spectrum for him is he's talking to his boss because his boss is like wanting him to tone down his crazy ideas for the board. He's like, "I'm giving you genius and you're giving me jock itch."
Yes.
What?
There's probably every single scene that he's in, there's at least 2 quotes that you could get from it. That's just
Easily.
really funny.
Easily.
Yeah. And Caleb, talking about this character, Dr. Tresh. Let's talk about the scene that will forever live in infamy in my mind of him subtly making all the bigwigs in the company fault at one time.
Oh, man. So I wrote that down. So, all right. So we've talked about this movie. We haven't really talked about the plot of this movie. The main thing about this movie is the dream world. How
Dimension.
It's a different, yeah, the dream dimension. It's a different dimension. You can access it and you can power it, which, by the way, gave me very big Legion feelings. Like, it felt a lot like Legion.
And not only, Caleb, the dream dimension, but mutants can naturally, once they train, go into this dimension without any help.
Which doesn't make sense for most mutants. It only makes sense if you're like a telepath or something, but whatever. Anyway, so the thing is, he worked with... Man, you almost made me say Emma Stone.
Man, I wrote that in my notes like 7 times, and I had to go back and fix them.
He worked with Emma Frost way back at the beginning of this movie, like 5 years before the movie starts, and then they're trying to take out the X gene out of people's brains through this fluid in their brain, which isn't what a gene is, but anyway, you could just
Nope,
draw
not
their
at all.
blood and get the gene. But so fast forward, he's working at a company, and he's been using subliminal messaging to advertise to people. And he's trying to get into the dream dimension, and he finds out that he can or something, and so he's trying to use it to force people to buy things until he decided to go off the rails. But when he's working at the company, the way that he tries to convince them that it works is he's at the board meeting. They say he's crazy. He's like, okay, well, I thought you would say that. So I just happened to visit all of you while you were sleeping last night, which sounds super creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, so in like 5 seconds, all of you are going to fart.
Yeah. And they're looking at each other, and they're like, what? And then all of a sudden it comes and it's just like 10, 15, maybe even 20 seconds of just straight like passing gas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is happening?
I guess it's not just farting. Like, he's like, you're going to have some gastric expulsion. And like half of them are burping, and these are like nasty sounding. Like, these are gross. It's an entire board of like professional men and women there. It's like if someone said that to you in a meeting, you would look at everybody really weird, and then you'd probably say something. Nobody says anything. They just sit there and wait. And then when it happens, they don't say anything either.
Yeah. And then like literally one of the next scenes says, they're talking about firing him because he's lost his mind.
Yeah, right? I mean, why did we have to go away to discuss that? Couldn't you just say it right there and then?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. This scene was just weird. There's a lot of weird scenes in this movie. I think another really weird scene to me is, and I saw you had it in your notes too, but whenever Jubilee and Angelo first get there and they have to like take off their clothes to get the full body like tracker or whatever.
Yes.
That was uncomfortable.
It felt so rapey.
Yeah, so basically what happens is there's like a changing area, but it only comes up like to your shoulders. And Jubilee's back there changing, and Emma Frost is back there with her, and she has to like swipe like her upper chest or something. And Angelo's looking over the entire time and has this really weird smile on his face.
Creepy creeper smile.
Yeah, and then Emma Frost like looks at him and she's like, "You're next." And it was just like, what?
Yeah, and Jubilee is like super uncomfortable. Like, she first says no, and then she finally does it, and she's covering herself up.
It looks like she's gonna cry.
Yeah, it feels so uncomfortable. And then, so they go through all this showing her. They don't even show you him going into it.
Yep.
That made me very, very uncomfortable. Super weird scene. There's another weird scene. It's kind of a good weird though, where Skin goes into this like dance scene out of nowhere in the movie. This crazy music starts playing. It's like this jazz music, which most of this movie doesn't have any music in it. So when music plays, it's crazy already. And the fact that it's this crazy jazz music and they're dancing and everything is like psychedelic and neon colored. And the camera's always tilted, and there's this weird parrot in the foreground on a branch. Like, It's like this movie turns into The Mask.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought, Caleb. I was only watching this scene, and I said, okay, we had Creepleville earlier, and now we have The Mask. What's next? And I'll tell you what, this has nothing to do with what we just said, but whenever we're first introduced to Dr. Tresh and his boss, and they're in their, like, bad guy lair, or whatever you want to call it, that, you can tell this movie's old, because that is the typical bad guy lair that you think of, like, in Batman Returns. There's dark lighting, there happens to be some, like, dark green or red, something illuminating up on the face of the bad guys every single time they talk, and you have that close shot of them, trying to be so, like, evil. I was like, man, this shows the age,
Yeah.
Like,
which,
wow.
That reminds me, I've got to look up, when Good Will Hunting came out. Oh, wait, that's not the movie. What's it called? What's the movie that has, Why do I always forget things when I'm trying to record? Captain, my captain. Is that Good Will Hunting? That's not Good Will Hunting.
That's a great question, Caleb. Just look up Captain, my captain.
My captain movie. It's not Good Will Hunting. It's the Dead Poets Society. That's what it is. Wrong Robin Williams movie. The Dead Poets Society. All right, so the Dead Poets Society came out in 1989. The reason that's important is because there is a scene in this that is like so "Oh Captain, my captain," where we talked about it earlier, where they were going to all get expelled from the school, and then they all stand up together. They're like, "Well, if you expel her, you're going to expel me, and if you expel him, you're going to expel me." And they all stand up, and they're all uniting together. And it's like, this feels weird. And then Emma Frost is like, okay, fine, you can all be expelled. Bye.
It was so funny. I was like, well, that was unexpected.
Right? You expect it to come to a head and her be like, okay, fine, well, I guess we've got a team. But she doesn't.
And I'm not going to lie, Caleb, the entire time, I don't know, I guess I'm just used to, like, that big moment, but the entire movie, I was expecting at some point her to say, like, you're X-Men now, or something like, like something like that. Maybe not X-Men, but something along those lines. And especially at the ending, whenever Angelo is trapped, and they're all about to step to the teleporter, and they have them lined up, and the Scott Summers ripoff is like, I have to tell her something. This may be my last chance. And he, dramatically takes off his sunglasses. I was like, oh, here it comes. Like, she's gonna say, good luck, X-Men, or they're about to get, like, some uniforms or something. It's gonna be really cool.
Yep.
And then nothing happens, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, she gets the uniform at the very end, which I guess they would all be wearing that throughout the series. I don't think that would be a good look for a whole series.
See, I don't know. I had mixed reviews. I kind of liked it.
It looked decent for this, but for an entire series, I don't think it would work.
Yeah, I think it would have been too much red. You know how those certain colors when on camera, if there's too much, it like blows together.
Yeah.
And like, I think with this, it was too vibrant red, and I really don't think they could have got through it. Now, it would have been cool if each character had their own like twist on their costume, maybe. That would have been cool to see, but at the very end, whenever Buff steps in and she's wearing that, when she's standing at the door, no joke, I thought, because I didn't realize she was missing from sitting down, I was like, is this Phoenix? It kind of looked like Phoenix.
It looks a lot like Phoenix. In fact,
because you have that red overlay that you can see and you can tell it's a female.
Yep.
And it looks like it's going to be a really big dramatic moment. And I was like, this is awesome. They're going to introduce, like Phoenix or something. And then it's just Buff.
It's just Buff. Because she looks completely different because she's wearing all these other clothes the whole time.
Exactly.
All right, so I have a question.
Okay.
So Skin goes in to save Dr. Tresh from his place, or he's forced to, and then he gets captured, and he gets put in this chair, and he's going to whatever he's going to do to him, right?
Wait. Skin.
The stretchy dude.
Oh. Angelo?
Mr. Stretch, yes.
You kept saying Skin, and I was like, I don't really know who he's talking about, but I'm just going to roll with it.
Mr. Stretch. So okay. Mr. Stretch gets captured, and he's put in that chair, which isn't the mind chair, it's a different chair.
You're about to ask the same exact question.
Dr. Thresh is going to, like, whatever he's going to do to him. But then all of the students show up, but they're in the dream realm. But he wasn't in the dream realm before that.
So Emma Frost says beforehand that she's going to teleport the entire building into the dream realm, because her plan was for them to defeat Dr. Tresh, escape with Angelo, and then they could all escape, and Dr. Tresh would be stuck in the dream world.
I thought she was talking about the castle.
No.
Because they're at the castle when she says that.
Yeah, I think what she does is she teleports them either into the dream world first or into the other building, and then takes the whole building and puts it in the dream world. Because that's why she said he won't understand what's happening until it's too late, because he won't know he's in the dream world.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I had to think about that for a second, like, during the movie. But my big thing, my question comes before this, right? So, you have Dr. Tresh escaping the mental hospital with Angelo, Mr. Stretch guy. And Dr. Tresh is like, oh yeah, one more thing. And Angelo's like, yeah, what's up? And Dr. Tresh is like, I need your brain. And like pushes up against the wall, Angelo has powers. Like, he could totally... Dr. Tresh has nothing against him.
Dr. Tresh is not a physical menace. He's not imposing. I don't know, man.
And not only that, there's a few other things that are just like that. When Angelo's stuck in the chair, dude, he can stretch. It doesn't matter that his arms are held down. Stretch like your hands out with your wrist or something and stop him. Right?
That's a good point.
Right? And then also, I was sitting there thinking like, dude, you're tied up, but it doesn't matter for you. Like, just stretch. Like, you could stop him. And then I also thought, whenever someone confronts Dr. Tresh when all the students are there, I think it's the super smart girl, and he picks her up and like throws her in the fire, or tries to.
Yeah.
That was like the super smart girl, right?
Maybe. I think so.
Okay. One, this Dr. Tresh guy is super skinny, and like, there's no way he could do that.
Oh, well, you already answered your own question. They're in the dream realm.
And they said he probably has a mutation since he's been in there long already. We just don't know what his powers are.
Exactly. Neither does he.
Yeah, until the very end when he grows like super big and then he's small again all of a sudden.
And then he still doesn't have powers.
Yeah.
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 So, also, this movie is really dark in the sense of there's just not that much light. Like, it's really dark in general. But I was asking this whole movie. Well, I wasn't asking the whole movie. There's a point that came to where I was like, who is this movie for? Because we're watching this movie, and it's fine, whatever. It's very TV stuff. And then out of nowhere, they drop the F-bomb twice?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Did you not watch the same version I watched?
I think. I didn't watch the link you sent me. I looked it up on YouTube, but it was the same exact like title and everything.
Yeah, so the scene where Jubilee is outside with Stretcher McStretchson, and she like drops the F-bomb twice. And I'm like, whoa, that didn't go on TV.
Oh, wait.
What's going on?
Maybe I did hear that. Because I also know they drop at least 3 other cuss words. Because Dr. Tresh drops one. Jubilee says like the B word. And then another one says like, no, so like, bad A or something like that.
Yeah, but like those are on TV. Fine, whatever. Yeah. Like that's not uncommon. But you can't drop the F-bomb on cable television.
To be fair though, that wasn't a thing until like the early 2000s. I'm pretty sure.
It was definitely a thing. I looked up the history actually.
Oh, really?
It's definitely a thing that was definitely not allowed. Apparently that was edited out of the US broadcast version. Apparently this also went elsewhere around the world, which is unfortunate for them. But yeah, that and then combined with like the stuff, the references to rape and circumcision, but then you've got the
that
fart
making out scene.
Yeah, which was also uncomfortable. Like, I don't know who this is for.
Because here's my thing is the movie opens up, right? And this movie kind of opens up with like a definition of mutant.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the first X-Men movie, actually.
Yeah. And so it opens up and it's really dramatic and they're going in with the saw like super, super slow, and the other doctor leans in right in front of the guy and I was like, you're going to get blood all over your face. Like if he actually does that, that's not good. And I was like, this is for kids though. It's so over dramatic. I was like, this is definitely for kids. And then those scenes came up and I was like, well, this is for adults.
Yeah,
and
right?
Then, like, it was really edgy, so I was like, maybe late teenagers? I was like, mid-teenagers?
I have no idea.
Yeah, well, honestly, this movie's for nobody, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah, and the crazy thing, too, is the guy that directed this directed Nightmare on Elm Street, too.
That makes... What?
Mm-hmm.
man, and that's not even, Caleb, I could talk about this so much more.
Okay. So here's another thing. The guy that wrote this name is Eric Blakeney. He has awards. He has
Really?
award-winning episodes that he wrote for the TV show 21 Jump Street. And he wrote this.
I don't.
Does not compute.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, there's so many things that I could sit here and say, you know, like, this movie was, like, not good because of this, because of this, because of this. But ultimately what it comes down to is the writing. And so, like,
I
the
don't
directing,
know.
actually.
It's all just very strange.
Ah, man.
I will say Banshee was also really difficult to understand because he's supposed to be Irish, and he is in this movie, and he is very, very Irish.
I actually didn't have a hard time. That's my garage, if you guys hear the, you know, ground
You
breaking.
can't really hear it
me.
anymore.
Oh, sweet. Okay. I actually didn't have an issue, understanding him. I liked his character. His character is probably one of my favorite characters in this. I think he does some of the best acting as well.
I agree with. I think both him and not Emma Stone. Fine, Emma Stone. Both him and Emma Stone are both pretty good.
Man, yeah, Caleb, with Emma Stone's performance in here, it was really snapped my neck. I was like, wow, that was snapped my attention.
It's a real La La Land situation, huh?
Ooh. Oof. But let's see. I just wanted to see if I had anything else in my notes, because let's see. We already talked about that weird scene with all the bigwigs. Angelo easily escaping. Oh, okay. This is my other big thing, right? So, with a pilot TV show, movie, beginning, you know, the goal is to really just grab your attention, right?
Yeah.
And to leave you off with kind of maybe a cliffhanger so you want more.
I see where you're going.
This could be a standalone movie.
Yeah, I was very surprised about that.
It left nothing open, like, at all. Everything was tied up in like it was a messy bow, but it was tied up, like, and
the bow was ripped on the edges, and it had a bunch of cuts in it, but it was a bow. It was tied.
And here's my thing is, this entire movie, I'm thinking, what are they going to leave open, especially near the end? And my thing is, I think they had a good opportunity to leave something open with when Angelo jumps over with Dr. Trash, right? I would have preferred to see all of the students and everything actually leave the dream dimension. And then you see maybe Angelo's hand come up and grab or something, or you see them falling and something happens.
Yeah.
Just something to be like, oh, okay, I want more. I want the final part of the bow.
I definitely thought that they were going to kill him.
Yeah, and that's my thing is, this is my big thing when it comes to superhero almost anything. In most superhero things, there are no stakes for the good guys. Like, they don't lose a lot. Now, granted, there are some, but a lot of the times, like we've talked about in the past, most of what the superhero has lost has been in the past, not what we're seeing now. You can look at most people, Batman, Captain America, Iron Man, they've all lost their parents and loved ones in the past, but for right now, they're not actually losing a lot. And so I thought here, I was like, oh, that's really, wow, that's a kid, he just sacrificed himself. That's, wow. That actually puts a lot of weight on it. Mm-hmm. And then he comes back not even a minute later. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's like immediately.
Yeah, it just doesn't give you time to even think that, unless you were purposely doing like we were to think for a podcast, it doesn't give you time to be like, oh man, he just died. Like, you think, oh man, and then you see his hand, you're like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know, that was one of my big problems with this movie. it did have its good parts, like, we've already said, but that, I don't know. I think that was a really bad way to end up, especially a pilot.
I don't think it was bad, but I did think they were going to leave a lot more open, and they really didn't. They do tease that the Doctor is not dead or brain dead or whatever. They kind of tease that maybe he could come back. And I don't know. I would have been much happier with, like, Jean Grey, like you said, coming in, because that's what it looked like, or maybe even bring actual Scott Summers in, bring Cyclops in, and he can mentor the other eye guy. I mean, now, there's things you could do with it.
Something that's funny, Caleb. So we had talked about how, well, maybe not talked about. I had heard about this before. I didn't realize how bad it was. But it's funny how when you're going to watch something and you're on social media or, just going through stuff, people are actually maybe mentioning it or something and you just had never recognized it before.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny on Snapchat, there was actually something about some of the worst live action, like superhero movies or something like that. I was like, I'm curious. Or maybe it was TV shows or superheroes or movies. Wow. And
anything, really.
Yeah. And this was on the list. And so it had 0 stars out of 5. So I was like, man, I am excited to watch this now. And,
yeah, I kept putting this off because I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. When the movie opened up and we saw Emma Frost and she comes in to wake up Banshee, a part of me thought, is that Wolverine? Like,
yeah.
And he talked and I said, doesn't sound like Wolverine, but it still could be Wolverine. But I'm glad they didn't. I think Banshee is a really good fit for this movie. Even though the movie's not a good fit for itself. But
yeah. So overall, Jacob, what would you say to this movie?
Okay. Really quick. Last thing. Sorry. There is one scene in this movie that I actually really like, Caleb. The scene when Dr. Tresh is talking to his boss and he makes him jump out the building. That scene, I actually really, really like the idea behind. I think it could have been executed a little bit better, but I don't know, I was watching it, and that scene I was actually kind of getting into, and I was like, oh, is he going to make him jump off the building? And then he does, and I was like, that was actually a good scene. That was decent.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and super quick, when they went in the arcade, did you see that they had an X-Men arcade machine in the background?
No, I was too busy looking at the guy's face on the screen.
Yeah, so when Dr. Tresh is looking and what's going on with Jubilee, there's an X-Men arcade machine in the background.
That's funny.
Yeah. Okay, but anyways, for rating. Okay. Wow. Okay, so this is difficult, Caleb. It's difficult for a couple of reasons. One, it's an older movie. It's probably one of the older movies that we've talked about on the show. It's definitely one of the older movies we've talked about on the show. Did I enjoy it? No. I didn't really enjoy it. I was actually kind of relieved when it was over. It's saying that though, it's definitely not the worst movie I've ever seen. Man, this is hard. I would say, yeah, okay. I would say, unless you're a collector of superhero movies and shows, or you're just a really diehard X-Men fan and you want all the knowledge out there, I would say you don't need to watch this. I mean, you're not missing out on much. Not only are you not missing out on much, it just, you don't take anything out of it once you're done. Like, I'm done with it, and after tonight, I'll probably never talk about it again. Unless someone asks me, like, should I watch this? And then it'll be a strict no.
Oh, I'll definitely talk about this again.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Any chance I get, I'll be like, so have you heard of this thing called Generation X? Not the comic, the movie.
Actually, genius plan. To spite all of my enemies down, I will send them a copy of this. Yes. Yes. But,
hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean,
Well,
there's just
the real
not much.
question is, if you were to spite someone, would you send them this or the Super Mario Brothers movie?
This, definitely this. Now, the Super Mario Brothers movie, okay, if I was spiting them off of like character correctness and stuff, I would send in the Super Mario Brothers movie. Like, if it really bothered them if characters weren't true to themselves. But if they just genuinely didn't like bad movies, I would definitely send them this one easily. Plus, I wouldn't have to buy this one, so I mean, it's like a win-win.
Right. Yeah, so for me, this one wasn't as excruciating as it was for you. I was actually relieved when I started it, because it was a lot better than I expected. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, man, it goes on, and it's long. It really drags there in the middle 40 minutes. This is an hour and a half. I don't think we ever said that. This is an hour and a half movie. If they were to play this on TV, it'd probably be 3 hours or 2.5 hours. Like, it's long. But it tries to be funny, and there was at least one time that I laughed out loud because something was actually funny. Probably not how they meant it, but, so it's kind of entertaining. Definitely don't need to watch this. Don't go seek this out unless you know it's bad and you want to see how bad, unless you are a X-Men collector that has to watch everything, see everything X-Men, in which case, go for it. It did bring in the mansion for the future of the X-Men franchise, but yeah, definitely give it a pass. You don't need to watch this.
Now, I said I take nothing from this. That's a lie. I do take one thing from this. This really does make me appreciate the X-Men series that we got.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. A lot of things that are redone, like you look at, like the Spider-Man franchises, several of them, a lot of those are close together. This, no. Yeah. There's no comparison. It really makes you appreciate the jump from this to X-Men 1 is just amazing. It's not even that long later. Like, but, I guess.
Yeah, good point, Jacob. But
well, I'm just saying, like, this was in 1996, right? Caleb,
Nope.
Yes, it was. When did X-Men 1 come out again?
2000, 4 years later.
2000, 4 years later. Granted, that was a blockbuster movie, not a TV show movie. But just to look at the idea behind it and everything, it just blows us out of the water. And so it does. That's the one thing it does. It does make me appreciate those movies much more.
All right, Jacob. Well, we can appreciate something else because that was that and this is this. It's time for What You Been Up To. So, Jacob, what have you personally been up to aside from this movie?
I actually have some good ones for this week, Caleb. I have some good ones. Talking about pilots for shows. Yes, I hit my table. I watched the Aquaman TV pilot.
Wait a minute. The one with Justin Hartley?
Yes, I believe so.
Why?
So, I have the DC streaming platform.
It's on there?
It is on the DC streaming platform.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, why would they
Yes.
put that on there?
So, I was sitting here one day, and as you know, I gave Tyler, our cousin, my subscription so he could use.
I did not know that.
Yes, I did. I did that. So I was looking on recently watched just to get a idea of what he was watching, and I saw that on there, and he had watched it for like 10 minutes and shut it off, and I went, interesting. So I started watching that, and I watched the entire thing. I don't know which is... that was a better TV pilot than this. However, that was not a good show.
Just for context, because most people probably don't know, back when Smallville was just getting started, it was in its heyday, they were trying to get an Aquaman TV show also off the ground. And so they did a pilot that actually aired on TV starring Justin Hartley. but it didn't get picked up. But that's why Justin Hartley would later be cast as Green Arrow in Smallville, because they liked him so much from that pilot.
Yep, it was 42 minutes long, and it came out in 2007. It was actually developed by the Smallville creators, Algo and Miles Miller. But I don't know, it was kind of everywhere, and it didn't have a really good plot. It's kind of like they said, man, we would like to make an Aquaman movie. Let's take everything from this movie idea we have and cram it into a show. Right? And it was kind of everywhere, and there was no, like, through line. It was just very off. The bad guy, I couldn't even tell you the specific bad guy in it. It featured the Sirens, from Atlantis, which was kind of cool. But, yeah, it was just kind of all over the place. I wouldn't watch that either. You kind of waste your time. I'll say it didn't seem like an Aquaman thing. It just seemed like a random superhero.
Okay.
So I did that. That was interesting. I'll say this one next. I started playing Apex Legends.
Boo.
No, Caleb. Not
boo.
boo. Not boo. That game is actually very well made. I actually played it with our cousin Blaine last night. That game is actually very, very well made. And it creates more of a level playing field. With Fortnite, we've talked about in the past, you would get on and they would be like those tryhards or like sweaties, just immediately kill you and you couldn't do a thing.
Is that actually what they're called?
Yeah.
I've never heard those. I've never heard any of them called a sweaty.
Yeah, sweaties. Because they're like sweating while they're playing
because
they want to win.
I understand.
Yeah. But yeah, it has none of the building aspects in it. And there's not, too much going on. Now, it is a lot of combat, but the tutorials in it are really, really nice. They have tutorials for each, I'll call them specialist. They're called legends. But that really helps with the game, and it's a pretty level playing field. You'll come across someone that's level 54, and you may be level 7, and they don't have any advantage because of their level, except for maybe, they've, got one of the 2 locked legends. But other than that, you can kill them. It's a pretty level playing field. And I really like that. I definitely think, and this is saying a lot, I think this is going to push Fortnite out. Easily. I'd put my money on it.
Wow.
So I've been playing that. And the last thing I did, which I talked to you a little bit about, Caleb, I watched Doom Patrol, the first episode.
How was it?
So, this show is very unique. It's not like Titans at all. Not even close. It's not... Honestly, it's not like any show I've ever seen before. Now, before pausing this and going to watch this, just know it is a strict rated R. Lots of language, there's some nudity. But it's actually really good. It has a really nice balance of not only comedy, but of also really good action and really good depth. It dives into some pretty deep things, and yes, it allows you to let those soak up, but at the same time it introduces comedy so you're not just in a fit of depression while watching the show. Well, you know how those shows are that are just super sad, and you're like,
yeah.
Wow. But yeah, it's really good. The actors in it are really funny. It explains all of the characters' backgrounds, which is super nice.
How is Cyborg?
Cyborg is not in the first episode.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. That's the one I'm worried about in the season. Because the CGI in the show is decent. I was really worried about, I forget his name, but the Robot Man.
Mm-hmm.
I was really worried about him.
I think he's called Robot Man.
No way.
I think go ahead and keep talking. I'll look it up.
Okay. I was really worried about him because in Titans, I didn't really like the way he looked. But with them explaining the background and what was done to him, it makes sense exactly how he looks. And I mean, it makes sense. And he looks super great.
His name is Robot Man.
Robot Man. Wow. Wow. What a name. But yeah, the first episode was just really good. It really grabs your attention. I will say the one thing I'm worried about is they introduced the main villain at the end of episode 1, which is kind of weird. And he does not. He's a really good actor, but he does not look good. Like, the CGI for him, he's basically this man that, this doesn't spoil anything, but he's split into, like, fragments. So, he's kind of like a ghost, but he still has, like, flesh on him, but they're in different, like, fragments.
He's in one of the trailers.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like someone took, like, a Halloween mask of a regular face and broke it and pieced it partially back together, is what it looks like.
Yeah. He's played by Alan Tudyk.
Yes, yeah. And so, I don't know, you don't get to see him a lot, but yeah, give that show a watch. It's not for everybody, I can already tell you. It's really funny, the narration, it actually breaks the fourth wall, like I told you, Caleb, and it talks to the viewers. Like, one of my things, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, but one of my favorite things was, it was talking about a character in the show that used to be an actress. And it said, that the narration was going on, and it said, yeah, towards the end of her career, critics started not liking her movies. But then he said, but I mean, what do critics know? They probably won't like this show anyways. And it was just like, it was really funny. And he does that throughout the show. I don't know if that will continue, but, yeah, it's really good. Go ahead and, watch that. Caleb, you and Courtney should watch that tonight.
Oh, yeah, probably not, because I've been doing something else, which has been...
Wait. What you been up to, Caleb?
You don't have to ask.
I wanted to ask.
This can be a natural flow thing, you know. Because I've been watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh,
which
that's
is
on my watch list.
Yeah, it's a show I've only started like 4 times in the last 6 years. And I haven't stopped because I haven't liked it. I've just stopped because I got busy and forgot about it. Well, I finally got past episode 4.
Nice.
Well, I think I did that. So right now it is Tuesday. I think I did that maybe Thursday. And last night I wrapped up episode 30.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
I am burning through it. There are, I think, 59 episodes. So I'm halfway through.
How long are they?
20 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad. I was thinking like 45 minutes maybe.
Well,
that's not
I
awful.
mean, that's still like 26 episodes times 20 divided by 60. Okay, actually, that's not that bad.
That's
like
8.5 hours.
That's like 8.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not that bad. But it's really good. It's fantastic. I'm sad that I am just now getting to it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason I'm trying to get to it is so I can actually watch the live-action version they did for a panel that I'm going to be doing, hopefully coming up.
Oh.
For some research, just a little sizzle there. If it all goes well, maybe you guys will hear more about that. But really amazing. It's on Hulu right now, both the subbed and the dubbed, so check that out. And the other thing I did, actually, surprisingly, also anime manga related, is I saw Alita Battle Angel.
Man.
Battle Angel.
How was it? I want to see that.
All right, no spoilers. I really liked it. I went in hoping for good stuff because the trailers look good, expecting not good stuff because the trailers look good. But I came out thoroughly enjoying it. Courtney, we actually went to see it on Valentine's Day because that's when it came out. Courtney was
Cute.
very excited. She was not. She did not want to see it. But she ended up coming out of it really liking it as well.
Now, couple questions without spoiling anything, of course. Do you think this is the best anime to movie adaptation that you've seen?
So, I mean, oh, well, you said I've seen. Yes, definitely. Hands down.
Oh, wow.
Best
Okay.
anime/manga adaptation that I have seen. Live action adaptation, definitely.
Okay.
Some people might be put off by her eyes. For me, I got more used to her eyes as the trailer started coming out, so that wasn't a big deal. When the movie started, it was a little strange, but again, as the movie went on, you really get used to it. It's not that big a deal. Her expressions and the way she moves and emotes is absolutely incredible. I was trying to tell some of my friends about it, and it's like, yeah, the only thing I can compare it to is Thanos. Thanos is really great, but he doesn't really interact with anything like real physical items. Anything he interacts with is CG. Nothing really touches his face or skin and causes it to move. All of that happens in this movie. I know it's a weird thing to say, but when you watch it, you'll see what I mean. It looks so natural. There's a point where there's a kiss in the movie, and you'd think a kiss between a CG and a live action thing would look really bad, but it looks so natural and so real. Incredible job just on the CG. The story, I really enjoyed. For the first 45 minutes, I wasn't quite sure if I was going to like it because it felt very cliche. It felt like I knew where it was going to go. But they did that on purpose, and things take some turns. So, really good. Highly recommend. Everyone I've talked to that has seen it really likes it. None of us know anything about the source material. Fantastic. Go see it. Do not listen to the critics, because the critics don't like it.
Does it set up for a sequel?
Yes, it is very much the first part of a wider story.
Okay.
But to me, the way that it was done, it feels earned in a way that most movies that try to do that don't. So I didn't mind it at all. Some people are complaining that there isn't a true ending to it. I can see that. I understand why they'd say that. I sort of disagree. I'm kind of like in the middle. But yes, definitely. So I hope that it makes enough money for them to make another one.
Interesting. In fact, I might text my friends and go see that after we're done recording.
You definitely should. I highly recommend it.
Because I really wanted to see it. Because it looks so good. It looks so good.
Yep.
Good. Is that everything you've been up to?
That is everything, Jacob.
Man, you know who has been up to a lot more than us?
I believe that'd be Taylor Poole.
Yes, sir. With making his music.
Please.
Taylor Poole. Whoa.
Please interrupt Jacob while he's trying to do the ending.
Here, carry on. It is your podcast.
No, I'll give it to you, man. I like to offload the work.
Man, that is how considerate.
Speaking of which, I'm going to give this to you so you can edit it. Bye.
Oh, man, awesome. Taylor Poole! Go ahead and, go visit Taylor Poole at taylorpoolemusic.com. That's TaylorPoole music.com. He makes some amazing music. Again, does our intro. You guys know that by now, but I know you don't get tired of it because it is just so good.
Also, please check out our friends over on the CNC Power Hour, where they stream video games throughout the week or on Saturdays, or Magic on Sundays, just like this last week where I was on their, 13-hour day-long stream?
Wow. Yeah, you guys definitely need to go see Caleb on that. I'm sure he did a great job. And while you're done watching a super long stream, which I think you can watch after it's done, I think...
it depends on if they saved it or not.
You're right. Go ahead and visit the website, cuzwerenerds.com. That's CUZWERENERDS.com. It's super great for sharing with your friends and finding the latest episodes on here. And while you're at it, go ahead and follow all of our social media.
Yes, you can definitely watch it. It is on their saved videos.
Wow, that was a really long silence, Caleb. Wow, okay. We're good. Go watch that.
I'm going to edit that down.
Wow, were you quiet that entire time?
I mean, you're going to edit that down.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Now shut up, I got to do the end. I'm leaving that in. Anyway, thanks for listening to 'Cause We're Nerds. Stay up to date with all the nerdy news and podcast drops by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also leave us comments and feedback at cuzwerenerds@gmail.com. That's CUZWERENERDS@gmail.com. And as always, if you enjoyed this podcast, we would love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Next month, we dive into Mishmash March. We'll see you there. And as always, stay nerdy.
You can't fool me, Caleb. You just said mishmash mulch because you don't know what you're gonna put in it.
Well, that's only partially true.
And that's why you said, we'll see you there, instead of saying, February, the month of love, and going into why. Man, I see through you like a freaking window book.
Actually, I do know what we're doing next week, but I didn't want to have to write something for it.
Well, man, now I feel like an awful human being.
Yeah, what a loser. Jerk.
Man.
Go watch your movie after you finish editing this.
I'm just gonna go run into the dream world. I have friends there.
Oh, you do you? It's more than you have here.
Caleb, 5 times 0 is still 0. Okay? Gosh, way to rub it in.
Clean feed?
Clean feed started?
Clean feed. Started. Preparing for intro. 3, 2, 1. Initialize intro. Ba-dum, boom, boom, ch. Another one bites the dust. Ah, ba-dum, bum, bum, ch.
Another one bites the dust.
Another one bites. Another one bites. Another one bites the dust. That's not the intro.
Did you hear what I said?
No.
I said beautiful at Thanos.
All right, here we go.